Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major! Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Almost Major, where we talk about the many major studios and the films they released. We are on our 1980s New Line miniseries. Goddamn. My name is Kevin Tudor. I'm here with Bryden Doyle.
Hello.
And Charlie Nash.
Hello.
And today we are talking about Out of the Dark from 1988. Strangely, when this was released on Swedish video, it was just called Terror. You could do that back in the 80s. Like, has there been a movie called Terror yet? But like, no. Like, shit, hurry.
I did see a movie called Terror, but I think it was like... it was very much a documentary, a cyber documentary, and I'm pretty sure Terror had like the E in like, not parentheses, but what's the...
No, the T was in parentheses.
Oh, the T was in parentheses. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It didn't have leet
That's really
speak.
good.
It was good. I mean, it's been nearly 10 years since I've seen it, but...
It's not similar to Out of the Dark?
It held my interest, which this did not. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the French people disagree with you because this premiered June 1988 at the Paris Festival of Fantastic Films, and then was released in the U.S. a year later on May 5th, 1989. The budget of this was $1.6 million. I don't have the opening weekend, and the overall domestic gross is $419,000.
I feel so stupid that I just forgot the name of that movie because, of course, error makes more sense than T. But in parentheses, terror? Like, what the fuck is the matter with me?
One ticket for T-Ara. Like, no, it's T-Era. It's Terror.
It's
whatever.
Been years since I've thought of that movie, but you sparked that part of my brain. God damn it.
Top 5 films that weekend. K9. You know, when a movie about...
Not The Widowmaker, though, right?
No, this is about a dog.
Oh, literally not K-9, just the word K9, like...
No, it's K-9.
Oh.
K9, Pet Cemetery, Field of Dreams, Major League, and Criminal Law, which is a Martin Campbell directed Gary Oldman, Kevin Bacon joint. Number 1 song in the U.S. this week, maybe the greatest song of all time, Like a Prayer by Madonna. And number 1 song in Canada this week is Like a Prayer by Madonna. We were just all unified.
Oh, yeah, the song from the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer.
What?
Shut the fuck up.
Is it really?
It is.
Oh, my Christ.
The movie hasn't even come out yet. And we're already like, oh God, we've just lost thousands and thousands of listeners. Everybody's
I don't give a
gonna
fuck.
be like,
I don't want them.
People are gonna be like, what's this newest episode from this podcast? They're shit talking Deadpool and Wolverine.
Listen, I'm a cultured man. I love Deadpool and Out of the Dark. I hope they have good things. I've got nothing here. Yeah. That makes me so upset. The only time that's ever been used in a trailer and it was actually good was the Gummo trailer, okay? That's... Fuck off. Oh, God. I'm so mad right now. Plot description from Google. The women who work the lines at a Los Angeles phone sex service are being brutally murdered, and the perpetrator may be one of the clients. The anonymous nature of the server and a host of strange characters make the list of suspects lengthy.
I don't know. That wasn't the movie we watched, or I watched.
It's like the first 20 minutes, I guess.
I counted one suspect. And then that suspect turned out to be who it was. But
there was 2. I thought it was Bud Cord, alright? I really did.
It's like maybe too obvious, and then like he dies, and then it's like, well, the movie's not over for another 10 minutes, so there's gotta be more. And at one point I thought they were gonna pull it a bit like the new Invisible Man, where there were 2 killers or something like that. And I was like, which would have been really funny.
You call them on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'll call them Tuesdays, Thursdays, yeah.
I like how the Invisible Man is also the first thing where it had 2 killers for you, not Scream.
Scream.
That was... yes, I'm a dummy.
No. It's just
Scream,
funny recency bias.
Visible.
Yeah.
They're not invisible. So I would understand that.
You couldn't see. You could only see one of them. You couldn't see either of them, actually.
I'm seeing double. 4 invisible people.
Well, it was the thing of...
Damn it.
You know what it was? That the reason I thought of it was because in Invisible Man at one point I was thinking like, how is it that like this guy's able to travel so quickly to different locations to like go after the main character, and then the reveal of 2 people, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then like in this one, like I'm when the killer like goes after the new hire, and like it goes from like he's suddenly in like from the phone booth to like being into her house. I'm like, maybe if there's a second killer, that's how they set it up. One's on the phone and one goes to the house.
What
Yeah,
else?
one of them is Bud Cort, who is always on the street outside of his office and is just doing stuff, and then always looks up and is just like, "Hey, what's going on in my place?"
For a second, Brad and I thought that I was gonna say that would have been funny in the new Invisible Man if there turned out to be two killers, and then they both take off their masks and they're both Matthew Lillard, who wasn't in the movie before.
I mean, if a movie called Invisible Man, if it was just one guy but he could also teleport, I don't think Elizabeth Moss would be like, "Wait a minute, that's kind of far-fetched. You can't teleport too. Come on." Invisible Man, perfectly fine. Where am I at? Written by J. Greg DeFelice and Zane W. Levitt. Both of those sound like fake names. Directed by Michael Schroeder. This is his second movie. The first film of his came out the same year, called Mortuary Academy. After this, did the direct-to-video sequel of Relentless. Listen to our episode, which is called Dead On, Relentless 2. He also did Cyborg 2, Glass Shadow, and of course Cyborg 3, The Recycler.
Wait. I'm sorry. Glass Shadow is so funny. Glass Shadow.
And number 3 is where they go Eco, Cyborg 3, The Recycler.
Oh, God.
Oh man, I forgot to introduce myself as Bobo. Damn it. Starring Cameron Dye as Kevin. Yes, this is a biopic, stop asking. Prior to this, Valley Girl in 1983. Joy of Sex in 1984, which is another Martha Coolidge directed film about a high school senior convinced she's dying, so tries to lose her virginity.
That sounds like something I need to see.
I don't think anybody likes it, but I'm going to watch the hell out of it.
It's directed by Martha Coolidge. It sounds like it's absolutely worth seeing.
Yeah. This guy, every movie he's in, holy shit. Body Rock in 1984, Fraternity Vacation in 1985. I'm just going through these because all these titles are awesome. Heated Vengeance in 1985 and Stranded in 1987. Listen to our episode, yeah. Lynn Daniel Rosenthal as Christy, also in Mortuary Academy. Karen Lurie, billed as Karen Witter as Joanne. You'll never guess what other movie she's in. That's right, The Academy of Mortuary. That's right. Karen Black as Ruth. We talked about her in our House of 1,000 Corpses episode, so give that a listen. Never forget that the last thing she was in was a music video for Death Grips. Just a queen until the end right there. Also starring Divine, Bud Cort, and Tab Hunter. And does this New Line Cinema film have Lynn Shay? No. Trivia. This was Divine's final role and it was released a year after he passed. When Stringer visits the hot dog stand, the theater marquee in the background advertised Mortuary Academy. Y'all remember that Yellow Card song that was like Mortuary Academy or Avenue? I don't remember.
As someone who listened to an embarrassing amount of pop punk, Yellow Card was kind of out of my radar weirdly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love the Saturday Night Live sketch where it's Matt Damon and Leslie Jones are arguing about Weezer fandom, and then Cecily Strong says like, "Hey guys, you want band I really like? Yellow Card." And then Matt Damon's like, "Oh, Tammy, no offense, but drink my blood."
One of the co-writers, Zan W. Levitt, was inspired by the then prolific 976 premium rate telephone numbers, and it was originally titled 976 Kill, but the title was changed, of course, because of the movie 976 Evil. Don't watch that movie, but listen to our episode. That's right. We almost had 976 Evil,
I'd rather
976
watch that
Kill.
movie than I'd rather watch that movie than
No,
this
you
movie.
wouldn't. Come on.
Yeah, probably.
They're
I don't know.
both
Maybe
bad.
it's just recency miserry bias.
You'd rather take a nap than watch either one of these.
Well, duh. I'd rather take a nap than watch a lot of movies.
And lastly, both of the writers were inspired by the works of Brian De Palma in making the film a lurid, sexually tingled murder mystery.
I was just gonna say, when you get when you're leading into the photo shoot that Cameron Dye is doing with the one girl Barb, you get like the montage of all of his photos, and at one point like there is like a photo like sort of like red with like sort of like streaks of black across it. I'm thinking, this looks like the Body Double poster, which I thought was funny. But,
no, I know that's exactly what I was gonna. I mean, as someone who loves Brian De Palma, I find the comparison offensive.
Same. Yeah.
It's
De Palma, much better director.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw Blowout for the first time in a movie theater ever. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies. I'd seen it before, but seeing it in the theater, just, good Lord. I'd rather, watching this, I did think, yeah, would much rather be watching Body Double, Femme Fatale, Jesus, so many other movies. But just, yeah, I saw the De Palma comparisons before going into this and was just like, okay, apart from the premise and, you know, Karen Black, I see no, like, sense of aesthetic, like, qualities with De Palma here at all. It's just so boring.
Yeah.
Their mothers always told them, never talk to strangers.
What's that music you're playing? Ooh, it makes me hot.
But now, it's their job,
Call me again. Ooh.
and it's killing them.
Joanne was killed early this morning.
Murdered.
There was another murder last night.
Where were you last night?
Alone. Where were you?
Is there any way one of these callers could track you girls down?
It's him.
Somebody help me!
Myers seems to think I'm the one running around killing everybody. When he gets here, he'll have half the LAPD waiting.
You had an alibi and you blew it!
Was that your next victim?
You killed her! Karen. Possessed.
Out of the dark.
Initial thoughts, I'm going first because I wrote an embarrassing amount of notes about this not good movie. This movie's bad, not good. The fan budget out of this must have been out of the fucking world because everybody's hair is just going nuts in every goddamn scene. Because that photo shoot scene is, like, embarrassing. What the fuck is going on there?
It felt like, I'm sorry to interrupt, I know you just started your initial thoughts, but it felt like that scene went on longer in retrospect after I got to the end of the movie because they needed it to be feature length, and they were just like, I don't know, just keep filling in more footage of that, you know.
Yeah, and then the police people walk in and they're just like, what are you doing in here, huh? What's going on? He's like, oh, she works for a sex fantasy place. He's like, oh, you mean, what is it, phone sex line? And just like, yeah, you got him, man.
Yeah. And then, like, they ask him, and, like, they ask him about a girl. It's like, why do you want to know? It's like, she's dead. And he's like, oh, no. And his line, I'm thinking, that line reading is really flat. Maybe, and then, like, when you get the reveal of, like, he's the killer and everything, I'm thinking, like, okay, you can't have the performance be that bad and, like, say, like, well, it's, like, the twisted or anything that, like, you know, he's reacting in a monotone way because that's just, he's the killer. It's like, okay, that doesn't excuse the performance being very unengaging for the whole movie.
Well, and it's also, that's also another red herring because he also says, what do you do? He's like, I shoot people with my camera. I mean, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's like, what person would, like, have that be the first thing that they would phrase it as? I don't think that's so dumb. Yeah,
I strangle women on my off hours. I mean, no, that's a metaphor. Don't look into me, I swear. There's nothing scary about this killer, like, at all. There's nothing scary about Bobo the clown on a phone sex line being like, Bobo's the only one that knows how to deal with nipples while, like, rubbing a knife around his arm. I will say the first kill rules. I do love that. I thought that was pretty awesome because I was just like, oh, a baseball bat. I know that's going to get used. And then when it finally does, you feel it. But that's really the only positive I can give this. Somebody, I believe it's raining outside and they open up the window and it's just like the windiest rain ever because everybody, I'm telling you, the fan budget was out of this world. And then one of the women goes, oh shit, I rode my scooter to work today.
I forgot about that line. That is pretty funny.
The second woman who's killed by Bobo, he puts a water hose around her neck. He doesn't tie it around her or anything. He puts it around or along her neck and then puts his knees on either side of her head on top of the hose. That wouldn't kill you. Like,
I was very confused by that.
He kept, like, pressing his knees down. I was like, it's not gonna do it. It's not. Like, why didn't you just strangle? Like, I was like, that you're not dying from that. One thing that made me unintentionally laugh, this is probably meant to be funny, but this is just very funny to me. There's a part where the cops are listening in on the women on a phone sex call to try try to track Mr. Bobo, and this guy's like, man, she's really good. I gotta go to the bathroom.
That makes me think of that trailer I was describing for the Onanya Club, the Tom Hanks movie, where it's like, my husband was in a car crash, he lost his like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
That's exactly what I thought of. Oh, it made me laugh so fucking hard. Yeah, they're going through Bud Cort's office. She hits the cord for a light sign that's in his window, and Bud just happens to look up while getting a hot dog on the street, sees it flash, and immediately knows that somebody's in his office. And then another scene where she's back in his office and forgets to turn the lights out, and he's outside again and looks up. It's just like, god damn it. Like, it's like, once is very far-fetched, twice, come on. And then this motherfucker Bobo at the end, where he's just like, for a split second, I did think she was the killer because she had the mask on, and I was like, what? That's stupid. That makes no sense. And then he's like, yeah, well, I do need help. I don't think any of this would have happened if I would just had somebody to talk to. And then she's like, yeah, I understand. I was just like, run! What are you doing? Get out! And then she shoots him like 5 times.
Yeah.
And then he gets back up. And then Mr. Cop Man the shotgun blast kicks ass. I will give it that. That is bloody as all hell.
The movie steps up its game in the last 45 seconds.
And then it ends on a fucking, I thought you were on vacation. I am now. There's like oh my god, it felt like it was almost longer than that photo shoot scene. They're having sex, and it's really long and very 90s porno chic. And then by the end of it, there's an ADR line. She's like, can we do it again?
Man, nothing gets people hotter than talking about, hey, can we take this painting home from the hotel that we're staying in? Yeah.
But yeah, this movie's bad, and it's fucking very boring. But there was a few parts where I was like, hey, wait a minute. Come on now. Yeah, Bud Cort, I'm very surprised that he was even in here, and I thought he would. And then like a good hour into it, I was like, I thought Divine and Tab Hunter were in this, and then Divine shows up for maybe 30 seconds, and then Tab Hunter is just like, they were just like, so Tab, we got a great role for you. You're gonna run over Bud Cort, and you're gonna come out and just be like, oh damn, he was on drugs or something, and then he tries to hit on somebody, I think.
Isn't he like, that's a nice watch?
Oh yeah. That's what it says. What's his name? Is it Jeffrey Lewis? That's who's in it? Yeah. Plot line goes absolutely fucking nowhere.
It's so weird that he's present at that scene, but not Karen Black. Like,
it makes no
Karen
sense.
Black would get a little bit of emotional payoff with that scene, but no.
It's like you could ask the movie at the end of the movie, hey, wasn't Karen Black in your movie? And the movie itself would be like, oh yeah, like it just doesn't. It kind of forgets about her altogether, despite developing her.
Yeah, where she has a kid, and Jeffrey Lewis, I think, is supposed to be the father, right? Because doesn't she have a whole debate where she's talking about him not visiting or something like that, or he wants to be left alone? It's I mean, look, I don't want this movie to be longer or anything. That would not make it better, but maybe make it more about Karen Black.
Also, not to go back to Devil's Rejects, but Jeffrey Lewis being cast in that movie, and that, God, he's so fucking good, and he's such a kind of, we didn't really talk, I'm not sure if we talked about it in this, but when Sherry Moon Zombie hits on him and is like, so you want to take me back to your room and play with me? And he's just kind of like, well, my wife's in that room. And then that way that flips on his head, and everything else his character goes through is just reaction shots of him. Even in heightened B exploitation pictures, he's got such an emotive face, even in shit like this. It's just such a waste of him and everybody else. And,
he does get one good moment. I'm sorry, I'm cutting in all these on all
I
these
completely
stuff,
cut into everything too, so you're fine.
His one good moment in the movie is when he drunkenly storms into the phone sex office to yell at Cameron Dye, he there's a moment where he threatens him, and then he turns to leave, and then he turns back, wags his finger, And then he just sort of like backs down and then like turns around again and everything. Like, and his character's drunk and everything, but it's like him like sort of that faltering sort of like courage and everything where he's just like, actually, never mind. I don't have the balls to say this. I think he plays that really well, just like with body language.
He pulls a meat wad where he's just like, so you just decide that I'm drunk. I'm not. Maybe you're drunk. How about that?
Yeah. I'm saving all my energy for crack cocaine. Also, we mentioned Lust in the Dust. He was also in our last episode. He was also a big part of that movie. He plays the villain.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
dude.
no, he was. I mean, again, like there's more crossover with that movie and Polyester than this movie and Polyester, even though so many of the same people were in all three movies. But there's a great moment in Lust in the Dust where he plays the villain, and basically there's all looking for treasure in Lust in the Dust, and they eventually find it, and someone's explaining it, and he's just like, well, not to be rude, but like, can we start shooting each other, because I really want to go home. Like, and it's just so good. Or he just plays it so naturally. Like, I'm just getting tired, can we just get this over with where we just shoot each other, and then like, yeah.
You gotta do a letterbox list of movies with people in it that just really want to go home.
Yeah.
They just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure After Hours
anymore.
I'm pretty sure After Hours is like the most get me the fuck home movie ever.
It's so good. Yeah.
But yeah, Jeffrey Lewis, for some reason, is on the street whenever this car accident, the Tab Hunter happens, and he's just like, he hasn't shown up in like 30 minutes. He's just like behind a wall, and he's just like, Jesus. Like,
almost as if like he wasn't supposed to be on set that day, and they were just like, hey, get his reaction. And he's like, yeah.
Has anybody seen Karen Black? Anybody? Yeah.
Karen Black's just got a thumbs up with a little satchel on a stick, like off to the side.
Yeah, she really just gets dropped. Yeah. Wow.
She ran away from the movie, and I don't blame her.
It took me like 3 hours to watch this movie, so it wasn't like I was just like, hey, wait a minute, Karen Black's gone. It was by the end of it, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen her in like an hour.
I watched JFK for the first time last week, and JFK is the director's cut, mind you, which is like 3.5 hours. Yeah. And that flew by so much faster than this 89 minute piece of shit. Like,
I wish Bobo didn't talk. I'll give it. I wish he didn't talk. Everything he says, bad.
And the voice is so terrible.
It's
all
ADR, and it's so
it's
bad.
not scary at all. It just also, I mean,
literally, like kill somebody's like, this is one call. Better not pick up. And I'm just like, oh, brother.
Also, I'm sorry. I know this is just on brand for us in a very probably annoying way at this point, but all I could think about was Mr. Burns' teddy bear.
Bobo. I thought you were going to be like, it reminds me of that scene in Billy Madison. I'd be like, what scene, Charlie?
You know, the penguin, the giant penguin's the one making all the phone calls. Look, if the killer was the giant penguin from Billy Madison, I would have at least upped this 1.5 stars or so.
No, what if it was the giant penguin who came in with a shotgun at the end of it, and then the lead woman's like, thank God I called that guy.
God damn it.
No, it was Steve Buscemi. That would make sense. He has the gun at the end.
Okay, for all of you keeping score, Kevin brought up Billy Madison this episode, not me.
Aquatinographers, Simpsons, yeah.
All right.
We have very, very cultural.
I brought up I Think You Should Leave, so all works out.
Hey guys, have you heard of a movie called Anaconda? All right. Like that first kill, that entire scene works really well. He doesn't talk. It's kind of creepy, but you could it's good. I like it. It's the type of scene where they don't know that they're being preyed on yet, because by the time the woman is on the scooter and whatnot, she's already apprehensive, and the guy is in the car following her, and it's very obvious. But that scene is like, I don't know, that works. That's pretty much the only thing I would say that works in this movie. But I liked that. And also, somebody getting hit with a baseball bat, sign me up. Where's that letterbox list? I'm sure Moneyball has a lot of that, but I haven't seen Moneyball.
Remember in Identity where they just find Jake Busey's body and it has a baseball bat? He has a baseball bat
in his mouth,
shoved down his throat. Nothing's gonna top that.
All the 97 cast members are just like, how'd they do that?
Yeah.
Who gets blown up in a car in that movie?
Clea Duvall.
Okay. Okay, that's
That's
all
where that movie shifts gears too, because they're like they get the fire extinguisher, and then John Hawkes is like, "There's nobody in there," and Amanda Pete's like, "That's not possible."
when the little kid like disappears around that time, you're just like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hopefully this isn't all taking place in some guy's mod. Damn it. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I tried to say as much because I know that Charlie's gonna say, this is bad. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's bad. It's very, very bad. I actually got kind of excited with the opening credits, where it had a cast and crew full of people like, oh, Jeffrey Lewis, and they even give Divine, which now that you mention...
And featuring, I believe.
And featuring Divine, which, I'm sorry, now that you mention, because I didn't know that Divine had passed away until after this, really feels kind of exploitative of we're going to get people in seats by being like, this is Divine's last movie. And he's in like 30 seconds of it.
We've seen the posters. That's not what they were advertising. They were advertising a completely different movie also.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. But it just feels, I mean, look, I also just watched, I've watched documentaries on Divine. They don't even fucking mention this movie. Like,
why? No.
Yeah, like, and it's not just based on the quality. I mean, you know, and it's not, you know, obviously he showed up and did what he had to do, and he's good in what he has to do, but Jesus, like, I'm sure, like, both of you were pretty much like, how far into this are we? I thought Divine was supposed to be in this. He got the and featuring credit. Where the fuck is he? And then they keep bringing him up too, like in the script. They're just like, oh, that Langella, oh yeah, you know him. He's a real go-getter. And then it's just like,
he pops up and it's just like, hey, do stuff, and they're just like, man, can't cross that guy, he tells us stuff.
Yeah, Paul Bertel was an executive producer. He directed Lust in the Dust and Eating Raoul. We mentioned this last episode. He stars as he actually stars as one of the few people that I found to be amusing as the hotel clerk, who's kind of like, oh, what's going on in here? And he's just stepping in the puddles of blood. That's Paul Bertel. Like, he's just kind of like, or the guy in, you know, he also has that scene where he's like, you don't have to be ashamed if you have somebody with you. Where I was just okay, this scene is amusing, probably because he was improvising it. But yeah, I mean, all the stuff I found to be interesting at first was working for a phone sex line. Like, you know, it's late 1980s. It's still very stigmatized today. I'm sure it was stigmatized back then, but sex was selling in the 80s, and maybe, you know, not like I was expecting much, but I was like, maybe we'll get some sort of, you know, like, even in a sleazy slasher movie, like, we'll get some type of, like, understanding of this as a form of chosen family or camaraderie or something, and Karen Black's the matriarchal figure who clearly loves everybody that she's hired and worked with and looks after them. She's dropped after 30 minutes, and like everybody else is too. And on top of that, it's especially weird considering Karen Black's like final scene is actually the scene that provides pathos, where she gets a phone call about, after the second woman is killed, about how it's also a very weird scene, I have to say, where she's just like, you know, she was murdered. Yeah. Well, we need you to come down to identify the body at the morgue. And she's like sobbing over the phone, and the guy's kind of like, look, we really need you to get this over with. And not
he's like, all right,
empathetic at all. And I was like, maybe this is, yeah, I was like, maybe this is going to get to something about how sex workers are stigmatized or they're looked down upon. And then her daughter comes in, and they have this tender heart to heart where she's even telling her daughter, I'm sad and I'm scared. And I was like, maybe this is going to get, you know, maybe this will get interesting. The kills have been kind of static and badly filmed. There's no real aesthetic, like, pizzazz to any of this stuff. But you know what? Maybe they're going to do something with this character. She's just gone from the movie. And then they focus on fucking, you know, Cameron Dye and Lynn Danielson Rosenthal's relationship, which is like so goddamn boring. Like,
and they're bad in it.
Both of them are bad in
flat.
it. They're flat performances, flatly written characters. The movie itself feels like it just drops you in on their relationship as if you've like seen like 3 scenes of them developing it before. Like it doesn't weirdly feel even prioritized with you giving a shit about them. Like, it's just, and then it just becomes this dumb who's the killer slasher movie again. Bud Cort, love Bud Cort, you know, it just seems like kind of almost mean typecasting, because Bud Cort was in like a really bad accident, and then he's cast in this, you know, oh, he's this creepy weirdo who likes, look, we found the handcuffs, like, type of thing, where it's like, and again, I was like, maybe this movie's trying to comment on that. No, it's not really doing that either. Like, it's just...
There's that weird scene where he's, like, drinking out of a water fountain or something, and two of the women are trying to go past him, and he just wants around, he's like, spills water all over, he's like, oh, fuck, my bad.
Yeah. It's genuinely one of those movies where, like, I was rooting for it in the first half hour, and then after that, I kind of just gave up. And it made me extra mad watching this, as opposed to something that was, like, complete garbage, because of the talent involved. Even if the talent involved was only in it for 30 seconds. Tab Hunter obviously doing what he can when he runs over her fucking Bud Cort. But it actually, it's weird that usually we've been watching a lot of these types of movies for our New Line miniseries where it's just sort of a by the numbers, whatever, like basically, God, this is going to sound totally mean, but like just basically feels like they set up a tripod and put a camera on it, and we're just like, I don't know, do the thing that we told you to do in the script, like type.
But then occasionally they'll like take the camera off the tripod and they'll wobble it when they're dancing around with the killer.
Yeah. But it just made me even more irritated than normal to have all of these things, these potential ideas sprinkled along throughout the thing. And then the longer the movie goes on and the more you realize they're taking the most basic ideas and completely just forgetting. It genuinely feels like this movie just forgets that it set certain things up, or just doesn't care and leaves you with the most vanilla bullshit. Like, I even forgot by the end of the movie that it was marketed as an erotic thriller, because I don't know, like, the sex scenes are not sexy at all. Like, no. I was even,
but
like...
That's peak 80s, 90s, like, overblown, like, almost like, it feels like, I don't know, like, it should be set to Sadness by Enigma. I feel like that's the type of vibe it gives.
Yeah. I mean, I would have given it an extra half star if they'd done that.
I mean, why the fuck is the killer even a clown? You basically feel like the movie's excuse would be like, I mean, because anybody's a target. That's how crazy he is. Like, that type of a thing. Like, it's just stupid. I don't know.
Couldn't have picked a better mask either. It's such a bad mask.
It's so...
Although I do like the shot when he's in the car and it's raining. It kind of looks good, but like when you see it in the light, boy howdy, it's fucking goofy.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, I had hope for this one, and kind of just became routine fodder, and that made me even more disappointed. So, yeah. I love good trash, and this had ingredients to be great trash, and... couldn't even be mediocre trash. Just sort of just it trash. It just felt like a whoopee cushion. I don't know.
I will say that I think both of the taglines for this movie, and I think one was the video tagline, but the poster for it, some clowns will make you laugh, Bobo will kill you. That's the tagline.
Bobo will kill you.
Like,
what about the other clowns?
And then the other one, her mother always warned her, never talk to strangers. But now that's her job. I know it's not meant to be read like that, but it's just like, hey, wait a minute.
I'm honestly relieved to hear that both of you felt the same way as me, because I was like, maybe I'm just in a cranky mood, but like, I watched this thing and I was just like, I can't believe all of these big names involved, and I felt nothing. Like, I would have preferred to even feel angry or offended, but I just felt nothing watching this thing.
Yeah, it's just a slodge. Bryden?
It's interesting, too, you talking about, like, I don't know actually how much, like, phone sex is, like, used nowadays. And also, I can't think of too many movies where it's explored. And I feel like a lot of the depictions I've seen, they are kind of negative. I mean, in Punch Drunk Love, it turns out to be like a financial scam where they send people to beat up Adam Sandler. But
CB4, that's a joke in CB4. One of their friends in CB4 is working at a sex line.
oh, really? That's
But it's funny because he's just sitting there. He's just like, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, that's good.
Not phone sex, but this is a much different movie. But halfway through this movie, I thought it was just wishing I was watching the Bertrand Bonello film House of Tolerance or House of Pleasures, where it's like a group of sex workers who are just like, yeah, this work can be a lot, and we're fucking objectified and treated like shit, but we have each other, and we're here for one another, like that type of a thing. Like, obviously I wasn't expecting that type of movie or his aesthetic, but I was just hoping for something like that, like it didn't even explore that type of shit. Anyway, please continue.
What's that movie for a good time call? Isn't that about?
That was the one I was just about to bring up, which I kind of like.
I never saw it. This is a very weird tidbit, but I worked at the Kendall Square Cinema back in the time. I believe the year was 2012, and we were supposed to be showing the Joachim Trier film Oslo, August 31st, which is an incredible, devastatingly beautiful movie. And we kicked it, or by we, I mean my supervisor, kicked it out to show for a good time call, and then made us all wear t-shirts for a good time call. And we basically were fucking livid. And Ty Burr, who is a friend of mine and love Ty Burr, shout out to Ty Burr, subscribe to his Substack, wrote an article in the Boston Globe at the time saying why you can't see one of the best films of the year, and wrote all about how we kicked out Oslo, August 31st for a good time call in the Boston Globe. So I have always had beef with that movie. It is not that movie's fault, but it's Landmark Theaters and their fucking bullshit, like, decision. But, like, I've never seen For a Good Time Call just because I've always thought of that work experience that I've had. Is that movie any good? I mean, it's not even fair of me to say whether it's good or bad. I just remember it being like, well, this will make more money, so just put that in there.
Oh boy, what money it made with the worldwide gross of $1,000.
That's the other thing. Is that, like what a great business proposition that turned out to be.
I remember it was in theaters whenever Shame came out, if I remember correctly.
It came out in August 2012. August 31st, the prime time to see a movie.
2011, and the ironic thing is that the Somerville Theater read Ty Burr's article and then picked up Oslo August 31st at the Somerville Theater, went and saw it there, made a profit. Sometimes film journalists can be good, people.
There you go. I found a movie called Intimate Stranger from 1991. A policeman guards a barroom singer whose phone sex sideline has put a killer on her trail, starring Debbie Harry, James Russo, and what's her name from Twin Peaks? Grace Zabriskie. I'm downloading the shit out of this right now.
Grace Zabriskie. What
I don't have this watch listed?
Yeah, I don't either. Good. But have any of you seen Inland Empire, where Grace Zabriskie opens that 3-hour movie by showing up at Laura Dern's house and just freaking her the fuck out? It's so good.
I need to see that.
There's a movie called
like to
Call
say
Me.
hello to neighbors. Just stop by and say hello to them. And Laura Dern's just kind of like, why are you in my house? Like, it's so good.
Just this is a very interesting, like, very 90s category. There's not many movies about it, or if it would just be like, there's a movie called Call Me, which is like not really about that.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
That's an interesting movie. I found out about that one because it was on the Criterion Channel's erotic thrillers programming. It's also on Tubi if you want to watch it. But it's Patricia Charbonneau, who I know is in that movie Desert Hearts, which I really need to see.
Oh, that's
yes.
such a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Oh, right, and you will love that movie.
Yeah, movie rules.
But in that one, and it's not about phone sex as a profession or anything, but it's like she starts getting dirty phone calls, and she kind of is like put off by it, but also sort of like intrigued by the mystery of it and everything, especially because her boyfriend is like a bit of adult. I think like his bit in that movie is like he's writing about all the fast food restaurants around the world, and she's just like, okay, fucking whatever, man. But then yeah, and then like it's like sort of about how she's able to like how she sort of tries to get a sense of control, her own control in that relationship. And that movie's actually pretty erotic in some parts of it, like genuinely. And also it has a really interesting supporting cast, like Steve Buscemi and Stephen McHattie are like these two like low lives who like you keep following throughout the movie.
Steve Buscemi plays a character named Switchblade. I'm watching this tonight.
It's good.
Fuck yeah.
There's some dated stuff in it for sure, but it's I think it's a solid movie. I would also say it's interesting. I don't know how prominent phone sex is now, but I will say that when I watch I think there's like I think these stations are in New York. When I sometimes watch like sitcom reruns here in Canada, I will see ads for stuff like Quest Chat and everything, where it's like saying like, feeling lonely at this time of night, why don't you call Quest Chat and everything and talk to like singles and everything. I'm thinking like, I never call the numbers and everything.
Even if I wanted to, I know Philip Seymour Hoffman is eventually going to track me down, so I'm not doing that.
Shut up!
Are you threatening me, Dick?
Talking about this actual movie, Out of the Dark, which is very lousy indeed. You're right, Charlie, about everything, how it doesn't do anything to show like it does get the mundane aspects of it and everything, where they're doing the very flat line readings, just sort of going through the motions of like, using like a rubber whip and everything on the phone and everything. Like that kind of stuff is funny, and it also inspired me to write down a note in my notebook, BDSM SFX, which was fun.
And there's also like I actually laughed when she's clearly annoyed, just being like, "Hey, I need someone for a threesome on this line over here," or something like that sort of stuff. That was like, that made me smile, just because it's just part of the job. They don't make it out to be anything other than like, hey, somebody do their job over here. I need help. Like it's like calling for backup at a pharmacy or something. Like
yes.
But like you said, that dynamic of like the group and everything, it just like the movie completely loses interest in that and to focus on this murder mystery plot, which is not interesting at all. And I don't think the kills are especially interesting.
No.
I feel like there's like a lot of really sloppy editing in this movie. Not necessarily in terms there's like one line I noticed that was like clearly ADR'd and everything, where like when the cops first like are looking at the murder scene under the tunnel and everything, one of them like says like his lips are not moving at all and everything, but then like you hear on the audio, it's like, get someone down to that tunnel.
I noticed I noticed that too, but I was wondering, I streamed this movie, so I was like, maybe my like TV's just acting fucked up or something. I really
no, it was just that.
Yeah.
But then like you have like also just like this cross cutting where they're trying to create tension, but it's like done so slowly where like it just like doesn't work and everything, where it'll be like that photo shoot and it'll be like, I don't know, why don't we like intercut that with like Tracy Walter getting out of his car very slowly and like echoing footsteps, and I'm like, this is like, you're trying to make this very mundane scene look interesting, and it just doesn't work. And it goes on for so long that like any tension that is generated from it is just like not good. I mean, like the motel scene when the cops are trying to like get into the room and Cameron Dine and is like trying to get out of the room. It's like it'll be like cutting between like this very frantic motion and then like Paul Bartel like fumbling with the keys, like the lock and everything. I'm like, this is not the same level of excitement that like energy being generated here. And like the music is also just like really shitty in a way that
Braden's music corner, everybody.
Like the fucking like the electronic drum machines and everything that are kicking in during the sex scenes, and like the sort of shrinking guitars that like that come in during, like, I think it's like when Bud Cort is like trying to storm into the office and like wow, like sort of on the soundtrack. And again, just like the it's like focusing on all like the least interesting characters in the movie. I mean, Karen Black, she like it is also like a sign of like how the movie doesn't really know. Kevin, you brought up 976 Evil. That's another movie. This movie is not really similar to it and everything, but it's like an interesting thing where like in individual shots, like there's like stuff where it's like, oh, there's like some striking bit of neon lighting to create a mood. Like in that first murder scene, like you can see like there's a little bit of like red neon lighting cast onto the water, and that's like from like another building, and like that's like a cool bit of atmosphere. I like all like the rain like streets. That's cool. The way it's just like all cut together, and like the way the shots are just paced in terms of like duration and the performances, there's just like the timing is just like completely off and everything. And like they don't really know how to use like harness the energy of the performances. You know, like Karen Black, you know, when she finds, I think it's the new girl who's played by Star Andreef. She's like the new girl, like the girl who like gets strangled with like the telephone cord, and like it's like her death is like filmed on like her TV. When she dies, Karen Black has that scene where like it has that shot where it's like her kind of like quivering with rage as she looks at Tracy Walter and everything, and you hold on her for a really long time. I feel like generally like that shot is used like pretty well to capture her energy and like, you know, sort of like the building emotion and everything. But then it pans over to Tracy Walter and it's like he's just kind of looking blank the whole movie. And I like Tracy Walter. I think he's like a good character actor who's been good in other stuff like Aaron Brockovich, but he's the movie never really figures out what he's the whistleblower at the end who says like, you know, my job was to like burn the records. I wasn't very good at my job. He has like some sort of line like that where he's very coy about it. But he's the thing. I talked to Kevin about this in the group chat about like how the movie. I mean, there's a tonal weirdness to this movie and everything where like I don't really know like if the movie wants us to view him as like a parody of like tough guy characters and everything, especially because like so much of the cop movie dialogue like feels so like cartoonishly hard boiled and everything. Like, you know, I think Divine has like the line later in the movie about like how he couldn't find his pecker in his pocket and everything, and I'm just like, that's so goofy and everything.
It wouldn't
but
be
then,
in
like,
my pocket, dumbass.
Yeah, but then like other scenes he's kind of a buffoon, and then by the end of the movie, and this is also the weird thing about how him fucking up the sting operation feels like the movie critiquing how like the police is like are like are not only like doing a bad job of protecting like the, you know, people who are involved in like the sex work and everything, but also are like, you know, putting them in harm's way and everything. But then the movie like undermines that critique by having him be the one who like delivers the final blow at the end of the movie. So it's like just like, what the fuck are you even trying to say with this? And then also going back to my point about like performance energy, how Karen Black really is good with like sort of maybe the camera like in those long takes and everything, but then you have that terrible interrogation scene with Cameron Dye and Tracy Walter's partner, who is played by, is it Karen Mayo Chandler, I believe, who plays the partner?
That scene is so badly like, oh, we'll just get this one lamp overhead and yeah, like it's so shitty.
Bad. But then like he says like, you believe me, don't you? And like it's like,
look,
it's
I know that it's
like,
gonna make me look bad, okay? I know I was there, and it's just,
and it takes like 30 seconds for the camera to like move over to him to like say that line, and then it takes like another 10 or 15 seconds to pan very slowly back to Chandler to go like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you could have like done this, like cut that scene down by like 30 seconds, and it would have like gotten the intended effect. I would also say, there's a line where she has the line in the movie where she's yelling at Cameron Dye, you had an alibi and you blew it. And that reminded me of, this is a much later movie, but in Copland, the James Mangold movie, Robert De Niro yells at Sylvester Stallone, I gave you a chance to be a real cop and you blew it. You blew it. And I just thought about that, which was just fun to think about. But
also, at one point, I mean, nobody really, I'm assuming people don't care, but like, it is one of those things where it's like a dumb red herring where they're trying to be like, you know, he assaulted a girlfriend like, you know, a little while ago. It was a minor. Yeah. And they're like, that doesn't make him a killer. And I'm just like, okay, no, but history matters. And like, why are you brushing that off? Like, I'm sorry. In my job, like, we get warnings about like, you know, potential threats and shit like that. And she's just kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Why are you brushing that off? Am I correct in that she brushes that off? Like,
he kind of like, she gets over it pretty quickly.
She gets over it really
she's
quickly.
Upset about it, and then he calms her down, basically.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, in my job, we talk about like threat of risk and stuff like that, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, he is kind of the main character of the movie, so it does seem kind of like you're throwing this in just to throw, you know, like, it just felt really stupid. Yeah.
The other detail the other line that threw me was, after, like, all this, when the reveal of like Cameron Dye being the killer, his girlfriend says like, you know, Stringer, that's the Bud Court character, Stringer was innocent. I'm like, no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Like, he like was beating the shit out of her, like for like, you know, yeah, she was breaking into his office, but that's no reason to like assault her like as viciously as he does. I mean, it's like really terrible.
That's the thing that's really frustrating too, is they also find like normal BDSM stuff in Bud Court's things. It's total. Yeah. It's like, oh my god, handcuffs, where it's just like. Where it's like, no, that's not the problem here. The problem is the way he reacts after they find it.
Yeah. Oh, other question I had too about like Cameron Dive being the killer and everything. He's like I don't know like how deep he's going and everything, but like when he's like sort of like running the knife over his arm and his nipples and everything, he's having sex with his girlfriend a lot. Wouldn't that like leave a mark that would maybe be a little bit distinguishing?
Yeah.
Like yeah.
This movie's stupid.
Yes. I mean, these questions, I don't really, I mean, I ask these questions and like, it's like maybe like the filmmakers would be like, oh, so do you want us to like add more to explain? It's like, no, not that.
No. Well, the movie wants to have it both ways. It wants to be a stylish thriller with no style, and then also be like, but the cops are good at their job. And it's like, no, they're not that either. Like, it's just bland. It's just sort of there.
Another phone sex movie we forgot to mention, Girl 6.
Oh,
that's a huge gap in my filmography. I
need to watch that.
I definitely need to see that Spike Lee movie that I believe Madonna is in.
Mm-hmm.
With soundtrack by Prince.
Yeah. I think that, although I will say, you know, what we're talking about that is like a sort of a gap we need to fill. I think that one is like difficult to stream. Like it's not widely available.
Yeah, because of sound, copyright
because of Prince
issues. Yeah, because of Prince. Yeah.
Yeah,
not a whole lot
like
to say about this thing other than it sucks.
It really is lousy. I mean, like, again, there's like surface pleasures that like I did glean from it, like the neon lighting and, you know, the occasional performance beat that does work. But like, man, like it just like by the end of it, like Charlie, I think like you, I was just like so fucking checked out of this.
Yeah.
Like it really runs out of steam by the end.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at Kev Bonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at J Doyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CT Nash91. Once again, thank you for listening.